Hi everyone, I'm Sarah, or Childhood Finds here on YouTube, and thank you for joining me for another What Sold video. And today I'm doing 25 items and how much profit I made on each item. And when I'm talking about profit, I'm taking out how much the fees were on the selling platform. I'm going to, at the end, take out a shipping supplies amount. The only thing I'm not factoring in this video is taxes. But I'm going to give you the profit before taxes on 25 items that I sold this week. And then next week, I think I'm going to do my what's my weekly paycheck video again, where I tell you everything I sold, and then I tell you the profit, how much I'm saving for taxes, and what have you. Just so I can kind of keep with doing that at the end of each month. Since I didn't do it last month, I thought I'd go ahead and do this one and that video next week just to make up for that. So I think I will be doing that this next What Sold week, and probably going to try to get another video out this week sometime. I don't know on what, but we'll see if I'm able to. Otherwise, we're going to go ahead and just get started. And how I'm going to show you is I'm going to show you the item as typical, tell you what my order earnings were from the platform. That means after promoted listings on eBay, after fees, after shipping, all of that's taken out, how much I'm getting from eBay for that item and selling it there. And then I'm going to tell you what the cost of the item was, and then how much my profit was. And then at the end, I will take out a shipping supplies amount. So let's go ahead and just get started. Sales this week have been okay. They are still improving as I'm still recovering from everything that happened in the previous month and beginning of this month. I am seeing improvement. I'm still not where I need to be by any stretch, but I'm getting closer each week. I managed to stay consistent, and I did all the listings that I had set for my goals this week, and so I'm really happy with it. I'm hoping that I just keep being consistent as I keep talking about these last couple videos. So let's go ahead and start with my sales, 25 of them, and how much I made on each sale. I tried to do a little bit of a variety, some that were good buys, some that were bad buys. As always, guys, I'm just showing you everything, or not everything, but I'm showing you all the sides. I'm not just showing you all of my big wins, because that's not realistic, that all I'm going to have are huge sales and wins. And this first one here is a vintage Osmoroid calligraphy cartridge pen, medium, new in box, white, new old stock reed. So this one I was highly specific with, so I tend to be careful with ever saying items are new, especially old ones. So these I said that the ink is dried up. I can tell that it's, that's not gonna work for you. And so I just made that perfectly clear, showed pictures, put all that in the description, and I got really happy feedback from the buyer. So I'm really glad by that. And this sold for best offer of $15. My order earnings on eBay was $11.58. I paid about 50 cents for this at an estate sale, and the profit was $11.08. When I tell you about, guys, I am very close. So I'm never going to say about and I'm like $10 off. I really try to put it within, 25 to 50 cents. I want it to be as close as possible. And then this next one I got in an auction that's near me, and it's a Wrangler Slim Fit Cowboy Jeans, men 32-33, see photos, USA. And these sold for $21 on a best offer. My order earnings on eBay was $16.90. These cost about $2.50 in the online auction. I got them in a lot of 3 of them, I believe. And so profit was about $14.40. Then here, this one was pretty fun. So this was at an estate sale where, again, I'm always surprised by what people put high price tags on. And this is a signed Bob Hoover Air Show adjustable hat cap pilot aviation. Bob Hoover is a big name in the aviation world, and this sold for $99.95. It took maybe a month to sell at the most. And so this, why I talked about earlier, is this hat, she recognized it, she saw it was signed, and she still only charged me $1 for it. But then I had a couple plush that she was trying to charge me 10 a piece for. One was just like, I think a goofy stocking, Christmas stocking. And so it's always interesting to me to see what people put prices on when they just do them on the fly. So to each their own, but I got this hat for $1. And the order earnings was $83.34, paid the dollar, and I made $82.34 on this hat. Then here we've got some flatware, as always guys, typically right now, and Oneida USA Unity Teaspoon 6-inch stainless flatware set of 3 replacements. I sold on a best offer of $29, or not 29, $20.95. Order earnings was $17.30. I got these at a thrift store, and they sold, or I paid about 60 cents for the lot, and so I made $16.70. This wasn't a great buy, but it wasn't terrible because it's small. As I always say with jewelry, it's small, so I don't really mind if it takes forever to sell. This has been listed at least a year, and it's a flower floral cameo necklace pendant pin brooch, gold tone, white cream. I'm sure I could have made a better title for that. I'm still struggling with jewelry, but getting better over time. So this was a year ago, and it sold on a best offer of $16. I got order earnings of $12.83 for it. I paid $3 for it at a sale, and I made $9.83. So yes, I'd probably still do the sale again, but definitely not my best buy ever. This I just got recently. It's a Swindle Study Bible New Living Translation from 2017. I took a best offer of $13, so order earnings was $9.48. I got this for free, and so I made $9.48. This was a fun find I was surprised by. So I love doing scrapbook stuff. I think maybe I'll do a scrapbooking items or photo albums kind of video here in the future, or crafting is kind of what I have in the idea pipeline, because I do sell quite a bit of it and it's made me quite a bit of money. And this one is a K & Company genuine bonded leather firefighter scrapbook album, unused medallion, and it sold for the full asking of $74.95. I actually picked this up at Goodwill for $4.99, which I was very surprised by. And so my order earnings was $59.39, paid the $4.99, so I made $54.40 off of this. And it was actually, I looked at, it's actually going to a firefighters, so I thought that was pretty cool. It was going to a station, I could tell by the address. That made me happy. And this is a London to Paris 1958 Night Ferry by Sleeping Car vintage travel tour pamphlet. I've been listing a little bit more ephemera lately, and I hope to get more this year. When I make myself list it, I do like it and like listing it because it again doesn't take up much space like the jewelry. And this sold for best offer of $9. Order earnings was $6.73, paid 25 cents for it, and made $6.48. And this one, sometimes you have to wait for ephemera to sell and it'll take years. This took like a week, which was cool. I actually have a few things of ephemera in here that I just listed that sold very quickly. Then this took year and a half to sell. I'm gonna say about a year and a half. It's a Disney Eeyore and Piglet birthday. I realize now that I spelled Winnie wrong, and it's been like that for a year and a half. Maybe that was part of why I didn't sell. Winnie the Pooh garden flag banner, pin the tail. Garden flags also take a while, I have found, but they're not too bad to store, pack, and ship. And it sold for the full asking of $16.95. Order earnings was $14.42. I paid $1 for this at a garage sale, so I made $13.42. This little guy is a Douglas Badger 9-inch plush stuffed animal 2012 black-white toy. Sold for the full asking of $11.95. Order earnings was $9.11. I paid $1, made $8.11. I'm fine making that kind of profit for these easy items. I would not be fine making that profit if it was a giant breakable. But this, I store them in clear bags and then I put it in a poly mailer to ship. So it doesn't take much money to ship it. I don't mind getting this kind of profit. And this didn't take very long to sell. Then here we have some more dinner forks. It's a lot of 5 dinner forks, flambe by Oneida, and it sold for the $49.95. So I made $40.28. I paid about $1 for this at the thrift store. So I made $39.28, guys, off of 5 forks. Why I love flatware. Then here is some more ephemera. This I just listed, and I probably could have got full asking, but I got an offer really quick for $14. And this is the Jewett Farm Resort White Salmon Washington Antique Advertising Ephemera. And it sold for the $14, so order earnings was $11.14. I have about 10 cents into this, if that. Could be as low as a penny from the lot I got. It came, if you've watched my videos or been watching them for a long time, I bought a shoebox of postcards that have made me hundreds of dollars. And this came out of that box. I started going through it again. And so I made $11.04. Oops. This I just picked up at an estate sale, so it took a couple days to sell. And it's a Dukes of Hazzard thermos only 1980 General Lee from Aladdin, no cup. Didn't have the little red cup with it. And that's why a lot of people, because there's so many people at this estate sale, running elbows terrible. And everybody just walked past this, and I think it's because it didn't have the cup, but I knew it'd still sell. It's Dukes of Hazzard. And I took a best offer of $20, and order earnings was $15.92. I picked it up for 2 and made $13.92. This took forever to sell. This is a couple years in the making. So I'm glad to see it gone. And you can tell it's old because I have NWT in there, which is new with tag. I do not do that anymore with my plush. I just don't feel right saying they're new unless I buy them directly from a store. Because, you know, sometimes those items you find with tags at thrift stores or garage sales or estate sales, they have little bits of blemishes, stains, etc. And I just want them, it's basically me trying to disclose that I didn't buy this from a store. And so this is old. This was before I stopped doing that. And so it's a Build-A-Bear, Lala Loopsy, plush doll, mittens, fluff and stuff, toy, blue hair. BAB is Build-A-Bear. Sold for $21.95. And the order earnings was $16.31. I remember paying $4 for this, so I made $12.31, which isn't bad, but I really don't do much to do with Build-A-Bears anymore because a lot of them don't sell very much. A lot of people and thrift stores think they're super valuable because they're expensive in the store when you buy them. So I tend to avoid Build-A-Bear stuff kind of at this time, but I've sold some of that stuff for really good money. So always have to just kind of check what the solds are. And then our next one we have, this took at least 1.5 years to sell, and it's a Lamax Bucket Brigade Retired Firefighters Vintage 2000, sold for the full asking of $11.95, and order earnings was $8.82. I paid 50 cents for this at a yard sale, made $8.32. Sorry, excuse me. And then next we have the collected works of Buck Rogers in the 25th Century 1969 hardcover book. Not in perfect condition. I finally just took a best offer of $16. This has been listed probably 6 months or so. And it was big and bulky. And it wasn't the best buy ever, but I still made money. The order earnings was $11.62. I paid $2 for this, made $9.62. So I'm kind of, the coffee table books, because that's what this was. This was a knock someone out with book. And I stick away from those a little bit more unless they have higher value, just because they are a bear to pack sometimes. But I still made money. And then this one I've had for probably 6 to 10 months. And I remember exactly the community yard sale I got it at, but it's a DVD box set, The Ultimate Westerns Collection, 13 movies, 2008, 20th Century, sold for full asking of $24.95, and order earnings was $18.96. I paid $1 for it, and I made $17.96. It's funny the items you can remember, you know, 10 months, a year down the line, picking it up at a place. I can't remember most things in my life. I can't remember people I just met, but by golly, I know where I picked up the Westerns collection DVD box set 10 months ago. Then we have a vintage New Springbok Double Dilemma crossword puzzle, 500 piece, factory sealed. This probably would have been fun to do. I love crosswords and I love puzzles. I should have kept it because I didn't make very much off it anyway. And so it sold finally for best offer 14 because I was tired of looking at it because it was big and bulky. I have space that I can do puzzles now, so I should have just delisted it and took advantage of it. But I like to do 1,000 or more typically. Order earnings was $8.96. I paid 50 cents for this at a yard sale, made $8.46. It was bulky to pack. You know, it was meh. Here we have a brass linked vintage belt theater musicians design gold tone accessory, 28 inches, and this sold for a full asking of $24.95. Order earnings was $20.57. Picked this up at a yard sale for $1, and so made $19.57. These I just listed as well from that postcard shoebox, and this is a Panama Pacific International Exposition, San Francisco, 1915. It was a lot of 20 postcards, and I took a best offer of $14, and order earnings was $12.48. I have 50 cents or less into this, so I made $11.98. Here we have some shoes. I'm gonna try to do shoes again this year, guys. I'm trying to do all the things I did last year and just keep with being my everything seller because it makes a difference when I'm outsourcing. And then this is going to be at Keen, Newport closed toe water sandals, brown salmon, women's, size 8.5, sold for the full asking of $24.95. Order earnings was $19.81. I picked this up for $1 at a rummage sale in October of last year and made $18.81. I wish they were a little bit bigger because I would have kept them. Next we have the Naj Hammadi Library and English hardcover 3rd revised edition 1988, sold for the full asking of $46.95 and order earnings was $36.34. I paid about $1 for this in an auction book lot and made $35.34 off this book. Then I just have a couple of Poshmark and Mercari. Mercari I've actually had, I think, about 5 sales this week, which is pretty good for Mercari, and only a single Poshmark sale. So it's so hit or miss, but we keep trucking. Then we have a 4 Gospels Bible pocket size American Bible Society King James version. It was pocket size, teensy tiny, and it sold for the $13 on Mercari. So I made $13 because selling fees are gone on Mercari, and I paid 50 cents, so I made $12.50 on this little tiny thing. This I just picked up. It's a Kelly baby Kelly toy. I get frustrated when I use the same words twice. So Kelly baby Kelly toy, 12-inch Cuddle Lion Rattle Plush Lovey Crinkle Ears Beige Tan, sold for $13, and I paid $2 for this at a thrift store just recently, and so I made $11. And last but not least, this item is actually listed for more than it was. I looked and this is only listed for about $30 in eBay, so I'm glad it sold on Poshmark for $35. And it's a Disney Parks Mickey exclusive classic collage pattern crossbody handbag and a wallet. It sold for the $35. My order earnings was $28. I paid $5 for this at a yard sale and made $23. Now let's just quickly go over the numbers. So my profit from all of those items, the 25 items I showed you, was $479.35. And then how I do my shipping supplies in my previous videos and how I'm going to do it in this video is I do kind of a rough sum. So I do an average. I put it at about 75 cents. So I'm factoring in when I have to buy boxes, bubble wrap, but I also factor in the fact that I use a fair amount of free boxes. I use priority boxes. I get free packing paper at times. So it kind of evens out where I feel 75 cents is pretty fair, especially when you factor in using poly mailers. So 75 cents is what I stick with. And so 25 items times 75 cents is $18.75. So minusing that from our profit, sorry, I'm still fighting off my cold, the very end of it, is going to be $460.60 is how much I made off of these 25 items. Again, keep in mind, guys, that's not factoring in saving money for taxes. So of course that is relevant as well, but I'm not factoring that in this video. So my total is $460.60. So thank you as always for joining me for this what sold video, and I look forward to seeing you on the next one, guys.